Good afternoon, guys. Marshall here on Thursday, our third training for this week. Guys, today we're going to be talking about a concept called live mentoring. We could talk about live mentoring hours. You get that with any of the Rapid Heal Live Mentoring Edition that I sell, and with the Happiness Strategy. Really cool because it happens twice a week. You get to interact with me, get the support and answers you need in the course you're taking, and also connect with other students going through the same thing. And that is included with the From Addiction to Connection course that we're starting here in just over 2.5 weeks here, or just under 2.5 weeks. But today we're actually going to be talking about what's called internalized loneliness. So yeah, before we get that shared out, I need to get this shared out to the community. Before we start this, I need to get that shared out to the community. So if you're new to me, I'm Marshall Burtcher, and I help codependents rediscover their happiness after codependency and love addiction, and restore their connection back to their brilliance, back to who they are. And we do that in 3 steps. Step number 1 is heal yourself. Step number 2 is know yourself. Step number 3 is share yourself. And this week, we've been focusing on step number 1, healing yourself, specifically love addiction. So we're going to get this shared out to the community here. Now, if you're on Facebook, the link to the community is above. If you're on YouTube, it's on below. And if you are on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, because I put out videos frequently, including tools that can help you emotionally move forward. Because this is not just about that intellectual exercise of understanding what we've gone through. It's about moving emotionally and healing. And healing really is about an evolution from state A to state B. It's not about fixing yourself, because frankly, there's nothing wrong with you. You are beautiful and perfect just as you are. That's the beauty of it. And I help you get in contact with that brilliance that you already be. So let's talk about that this concept called internalized loneliness. Another term for it is called pathological loneliness. It's not a concept I see discussed much. I first encountered it in a technical sense, like in a definition sense, through Ross Rosenberg's work and his book called The Human Magnet Syndrome. And his description of it is basically the sense of being emotionally isolated from other individuals. So I expand on that because internalized loneliness is this belief that within us, we are not connected to anybody. Nobody holds us within their mind, for instance. We're not on their mind or their heart. We don't occupy space within their energy or their existence. We don't even occupy space for ourselves in our existence. So we are actually disconnected in a couple of different ways. With pathological or internalized loneliness, myself, like for me, I was disconnected from my little me, from my internal self. So that internal self felt extremely isolated from the world, because he believed that he was intrinsically unlovable. And that came from the transactional love that he had experienced growing up. He believed that love was earned because all he knew was that approval felt loving and rejection felt awful, unloving, or rejection made me unworthy. And so I was disconnected that way. And so when I started to connect back with myself, then I was able to connect with others. So there's 2 types of loneliness going on, 2 types of isolation. You're isolated from yourself. You're isolated from others. And this is an emotional experience, not just a physical one. And this is extremely common for us, especially if we're dealing with love addiction. We're dealing with really intense levels of codependency and enmeshment with others. So I've got some notes here to keep track of this, because it's I want to make sure this is effective and makes sense. So let me know in the comments below what you get out of this and what's going on for you there, how you relate to it, and if it's making sense, and if you have questions or anything. All right, so let's get in a little deeper with this experience of emotional isolation. So it's socially. It's being cut off socially, so from your peers, from people you love and respect, from humanity, like you don't really belong as a human being. And then fundamentally from yourself. You're not allowed to connect to yourself, and why would you? Because you're not really, lovable. Like, who would want to love me? That kind of thing. And this is extremely scary to feel, because we intrinsically know that if we're alone in the world, that we are at high risk of death. We know that safety in numbers per se, right? And because we have felt this emotional isolation, especially many of us have felt it early on in our lives from our parents. They were not emotionally attuned or available for us. We may have been dealing with an extremely narcissistic, toxic, abusive parent or parents. So emotionally, we're already cut off and alone. And that's a very scary place, especially for a child, because they don't know how to take care of themselves. They're unaware of the world, and they know this instinctively. We know it, and we depend on our parents for shelter and for guidance and for helping us understand the world and adapt and grow and succeed. And we know if without them, it's going to be a very hard thing, and the risk of our death is very, very high. So that's a very scary place to be. Okay, and this is one of the big motivators that keep people in toxic relationships. So if you found yourself staying with someone who is toxic to you, and you don't understand why, this is why. Is because it is better to have something than nothing in your mind, because part of you believes that if you have nothing, you will die. You don't know how to wrestle with that yet. And that's just because there's a young little part of yourself that's stuck in that abandonment, stuck in that attachment trauma, and is wrestling deeply with that. We need to bring back into her world a connection with you. And as one of the primary focuses of the From Addiction to Connection system is getting you connected deeper with you. It's called the warming up practice and the reflection practice. We get connected back with the child. Okay. Hi, Joy. Yes. Send me a PM. We'll get you in. We'll get you in, guys. We'll make this happen. It's an important step, and it's an essential step to the restoration of self. So this is our liberation from the loneliness and the fear of aloneness. See, for a lot of codependents, we confuse loneliness with aloneness. They're the same thing to us. And that's because being alone feels isolated. And that's because we're not connected. We believe we do not exist in the minds and hearts of others, right? And so we don't have this sense of bond and belonging and connection. And so that's why we stay in these toxic situations. So fundamentally, guys, it's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're bad. It's not because you're not getting it. It's because you have a primal need that's being fulfilled in that, and we need to meet that need in a different way so you can become free of the toxic resource and get connected to healthy, nurturing, vital resources for you. So this is really what's going on. There is no need to shame ourselves. And talking about shame, internalized loneliness produces what's called core shame. Core shame is the idea that I'm unlovable. And we come to this conclusion through what's called an inference. This idea that the brain's going to determine what truth is based on what it appears to be. And the child brain goes, if I was lovable, my parents would have kept me. My parents didn't keep me, so I'm unlovable. And that creates a circular argument. That's a problem there. But this is where that core shame comes in. It's because we assume that because we are not loved, we are not lovable, thus we're unworthy, and then shame fills the space that love would otherwise occupy and empower us in. So I want you to keep that in mind here. And that shame then motivates us to withdraw from connection and from being seen and being known and being loved. Okay? And that isolates us further, which compounds the sense of loneliness, this internalized or pathological loneliness, and amplifies it. And then our needs need to get met, and they're going to find a way to get met, so we move into codependent responses, like reactions like people-pleasing, shape-shifting, mimicking, fixing, controlling, enabling, avoiding, and then emptying ourselves out. Okay? And that's what we do through the discard, or through the SAD cycle, the seduction, abuse, discard cycle, teaches us to do this. This is how we survived it. And then we're going through the EDD cycle of euphoria, distress, and despair. We're going through that again because we're really wrestling with this core shame and this pathological loneliness, all of it being a result of attachment trauma. Ooh, knocked the desk there a little bit. So it's getting back to connection. That's why it's from addiction to connection. getting connected first with ourselves, and then regulating our attachment distress so we feel more secure, restoring connection to ourselves, releasing the shame, releasing the anxiety, warming up to ourselves again, connecting deeper with our sense of value, and that begins to expand us into connection with others. This is how we heal pathological loneliness, because codependency is a two relationship problem. There's two relationships happening, the you to you relationship and the you to other relationship. Most people in a lot of therapeutic models go right for the you to other relationship fixing. But that doesn't resolve what's going on within us. Instead, it medicates it, and then eventually the cycle shows up again, and it's like, why does this keep happening? It's because the intrinsic problem hasn't been solved, and that problem is the attachment trauma. It's the discard trauma, is fundamentally what I call it. And discard trauma is the threat of being thrown away and then dying. It's very, very scary to us, and so we got to heal that. And this is part of how we do that, because it takes three things, right? Heal ourselves, know ourselves, share ourselves. While we're dealing with the heal component, and in this step one of healing ourselves, we do have to create connection, right? So it still deals with number 2 or number 3, and we got to come more in contact with our own innate value, which is number 2. So they all interrelate, right? So it's kind of there can be some complexity there, but they all function together as a machine to bring you back into your brilliance, and so that you can live life based on your value, your brilliance, your well-being. So we've got that. All right, so how we heal this is with the connection practice, and we do that through 3 steps. 1, we've got to restore peace. We have to down-regulate our nervous system so that we feel safe to connect again. And then 2, we've got to make sure we understand what connection is, so we start to restore connection internally with ourselves and then externally with others, because we need both. It comes back to that 2 relationship problem. We need to resolve our connection with ourselves and then with others. And that way we have a secure network internally and externally. And that helps continue to resolve this external or this internalized loneliness, this pathological loneliness. Because now we're becoming more connected, more vulnerable, more available, more open. Okay? Got that. And then we need to restore sanity. We got to understand what's real. Because I'll tell you, when I was going through my healing, especially from the love addiction, I don't know what the hell was real. And so we go through a process of acknowledging what is real and beginning to learn how to detect realness, reality again, so that we feel sane, so that we can then trust our connections, trust what we're choosing, learn from our choices, and further deepen our sense of peace, our sense of connection, and our sense of reality. It's just a cycle that repeats and repeats and repeats. We go more and more secure, more and more clear, more and more safe, more and more happy. Okay? And that's the goal here. So if you've been looking to work with me, this is your chance, because I'm putting out, again, From Addiction to Connection. It's my 8-week live training. It starts June 28th. We have 32 seats available, so they're starting to get taken out of 40. They're just going to, usually in the week before class, they vanish. And we're going to be I'm going to be personally taking you through those 3 steps of restoring peace, restoring sanity, and restoring connection over those 8-week period. You get lifetime access to the recordings, and you get lifetime access to future trainings, live trainings that I do. You also get lifetime access to what's called I've Got Your Back Live Mentoring. This is where you can meet with me in a live group setting where we can discuss your challenge. I can support you, give you tools, guidance. You can get connected with other students going through this process and see that you're safe and secure too, and you get the support you need. You get lifetime access to that. So once the 8 weeks are done, you can keep showing up and get more support and go through the course again over and over and over, because you get to recycle it and build it in deeper, things like that. It helps you succeed, but I've got your back in that. Okay. In addition to that, you also get what's called Thrive Strategy, which are specialized trainings for specific skill sets, including letting go of shame, knowing yourself, building boundaries, how to know what's yours, what's others, how to change your mind, how to regulate your nervous system and bring more peace to you emotionally, things like that. There's a lot of power that you get with the From Addiction to Connection enrollment. The way you get enrolled is you got to click the link below on Facebook, or below on YouTube, above on Facebook, and then sign up. Okay, we've got payment plans there, so make that really flexible and available for you guys. But again, this is your chance to work with me live. We start June 28th. It's From Addiction to Connection. We're focused on healing this internalized loneliness. We're focused on healing the attachment distress. We're focused on breaking you free from the craving and liberating you from the seduction, abuse, discard cycle and the euphoria, distress, despair cycle. So jump in there. Guys, you're not crazy. There is nothing wrong with you. You've been through hell and your brain has kept you alive the best way it knew how. And now we can break you free of that so that you can begin to thrive and be happy in healthy relationships and in healthy directions for your well-being and your joy. Okay? So I look forward to seeing you in the course. If you have any questions, feel free to PM me. Guys, remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. This is why I say that, because it is the fulcrum. It's the truth about us. We are worth being known, understood, and valued. We are worth being kept. When I say being kept, it doesn't mean being possessed. It means people want us in their lives, and they're willing to work to build connection and understand us and resolve conflicts so that they can be connected with us and us with them. Guys, this is the magic of this. We are worth it, and I want to show you how that's possible. And that's what I'm attempting to do with these trainings, so that you can witness what I've experienced personally and what my students and clients experience on the regular, is that we really are worth it, and we feel it and we live it, because there's nothing wrong with you. Okay, you're a brilliant, beautiful person, and now you have the power and the ability to focus and experience that for yourself. Okay, so again, remember you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. I'll see you guys in our next training. Have a good day. Keep safe out there. Bye bye.